Good morning, Cornerstone. I've been asked to do today's Spiritual Vitamin, and with it being July the 18th, and with us a little over halfway through the year of 2020, I thought it'd be a good time for us to do maybe a spiritual checkup. Or as Paul might say, how are you running the race? He mentions a race in the Bible about 6 times, I believe. Over in Acts 20, verse 24, he says, my only aim is to finish the race and complete the task the Lord has given me. In 1 Corinthians 9, verse 24, he says, run in such a way as to get the prize. And in Galatians 2:2, Paul talks about running the race but not in vain. So basically, how are we doing, with this sort of midterm checkup for each of us today? Hopefully, we started the year off in great spirits. We had the 7x24 prayer time. That usually is a great time for us to refocus and set our minds on the new year. And with it being a brand new year and a new decade, we had high expectations, for the coming year. And then wham, all of a sudden, March comes around like a lion, and not to lay down beside us, as it talks about in the Bible, but to devour us. It came in with the pandemic, the quarantine, economic hit for many of us, job layoffs for some of us, job terminations for others. Then after that came the social upheaval and the changes that happened there and that are still happening with that, and on and on. And even some people became ill with the virus, and other people have died that we know that were close to us that, again, impacts our life and it changes us. So in many cases, our lives could have been just totally turned upside down. And if not anything else, we were taken out of our comfort zone. So what Paul says over in Galatians chapter 5, verse 7 may apply with this statement he makes there. You are running a good race. Who or what cut in on you to keep you from obeying the truth or doing what you knew to do the right thing? So what kind of adjustments did we make to this? If we don't make any adjustments, then how do we survive in this kind of environment? Because it's not our normal environment. This is a once in a lifetime pandemic. So how did we adjust to this? Did we grow closer to God? Did we study our Bible more? Did we pray more often? I know for me, I did some of those things, but I also did some other things that were not good in adjustments. I slept in much longer in the mornings than I normally would have, by over an hour, which is not typical for me. I'm usually up in the morning, first thing, getting out and doing things. Then also I ate far more than I should have eaten, even trying to watch that. I still gained like 10 pounds or more of weight. So some things were good, some things were bad. So but anyway, we all had to adjust somehow to this. But each of us have to run our own race. I can't tell you how to run your race, or you tell me how to run my race. But the Bible can help us with this. And I've been studying over in 1st and 2nd Samuel. I've been looking at the lives of Saul and of David, and to do a comparison with them. Both of them started off with great races. They both were very humble people at the very beginning. David was a shepherd. Saul was a farmer. They both of them were called in their respective ways. Saul to be king, and then eventually David to be king. David started off with victorious life with his victory over Goliath, and then his many other victories that women and the people were singing about his praises and everything. And Saul also was victorious in his early battles and helping to unite the kingdom there in Israel. But then different things happened to him. First thing that happened, once David became king, he then, where he should have been out fighting the battle, it says, he stayed home. And when he was at home, it said that he got up and out of his bed after sleeping late, that he then saw Bathsheba and committed his sin, and that led to a multitude of other things that happened in his life. Saul, on the other hand, became very arrogant. He started seeking the glory for himself, and he also started making decisions about what to do with the spoils of war. He quit listening to God. Now, in one case, when David was confronted with this by Nathan, David repented, from his action. In other words, you could say he made an adjustment, a course correction on where his life was going. But on the other hand, when Saul was confronted by Samuel the prophet, he lied and tried to make an excuse for it. And so then in the end, David ended up in Psalm 51. You can read there. He had peace with God. He was, at peace with his life. And then for Saul, in the end, he committed suicide because he just couldn't go on, and the battles had started turning against him. And so he, again, took the choice of committing suicide. But, really, when we think about it, we think about it in terms of running a race. It's not how we begin the race. I mean, we can all start off behind or ahead or whatever, circumstances may be for us. But it's how we end the race. And I think that's what Paul is really talking about. How are we going to end the race? Are we going to say, come to the Lord and he's going to say, well done, good and faithful servants? So hopefully, we can make whatever adjustments that we need to make. In other words, we can draw closer to God, because we don't know when this pandemic may be over. We don't know when these changes in injustice may come about and how they may come about. But we do know that God is for us, and we know what God has called us to do. So hopefully we all can take stock of where we're at and see where we need to be and continue our race. May God bless you and have a great day. Bye.